Thank you for being here. We have the honor to be here right now with Toby Overdorf. He is the House Representative for Florida, District 85.
Mm-hmm.
You've been in this position since 2018 and being re-elected since then. This is your last year.
Yep.
So this is a sweet goodbye for you. Beside represent us in Tallahassee, he graduated from biology and have a bachelor degree in biology and also a master MBA from Florida Atlantic University. You do a lot of things, and I find out something. Your real name.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know you're Tobin Rogers.
Tobin Rogers, yep.
And that was for me because I was reading about you and everything. I know you for years, but I was like, I always thought your name was Toby.
And Rogers is a family name from Pennsylvania.
Oh,
from my dad's side.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
See, we find out something new.
Well, to tell you the truth, the TROs run in our family. My grandfather was Theodore Roosevelt Overdorf.
Oh, wow.
My dad is Thomas Rogers Overdorf, and I'm Tobin Rogers Overdorf. So I'm TRO the third.
Oh, that's interesting. See, we have a little more information than just stuck with serious business.
There you go.
And this past year, being the chair of the committee who really was about the property in charge of the property tax.
It's a select committee on property tax. Yep. Yes. And we had 35 separate members on there, Democrats, Republicans, and literally from all over the state.
So I cannot think one of the best qualified persons in the state of Florida to talk about what is happening with property tax.
Sure.
My first question, because most of the people won't read about, the whole bill, or won't understand the whole bill.
Yep.
So in simple English, what we will be voting in November?
You'll be voting primarily on a increase in your homestead exemption that will eventually get to $250,000. You're also voting on the ability for non-homestead and their annual assessments to drop from 10% down to 5%. And that's primarily what the ballot initiative is.
So how this will be, if this pass, what need to be happening to this become part of the Florida Constitution?
Sure. In order for it to pass, we have to have 60% of the Florida voters vote in the affirmative. So in November, they must vote yes, at least 60%. And once that happens, we're now it now becomes part of our Constitution.
When this will be effective, if that passes?
The day after the election, it would be effective, and everything starts in process, if you will, on January 1 of 2027. So at that point in time, you would receive a $125,000 homestead exemption. That's on top of your current $25,000. So now you'd have a $150,000 exemption.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a requirement for residency at that point in time, where if you owned a home as a homesteader, you'd qualify for all of the homestead exemptions. However, if you did not own a home prior to that time in the state of Florida as your homestead, and you bought, say, January 3rd of next year, then you would have to wait 5 years in order to get your full homestead exemption at that point in time.
Okay. So people will start seeing this on the bills in 2027 at the end of the year when they normally pay the property taxes.
The way the cycle goes is when what's called the trim notice comes out, and of course that's the first thing that says you will see on your 2027 trim notice a $150,000 exemption. And then in 2028, that will increase to the $250,000 exemption if in fact this passes.
Okay. So if I buy the house in January, like you say,
yes,
I will have only the $50,000, or I won't have anything.
It all depends. If you already own a home, you already have a homestead here.
No, if I don't have anything.
You do not have a homestead here.
Yes.
You haven't ever purchased a homestead here. You're not a resident, etc. At that point in time, yes, you would have the $50,000 homestead exemption. You have everything that currently applies, but you would have to wait for 5 years to get the full $250,000 exemption.
Okay, now I understand, because that's one of the misconceptions a lot of people have, and it's a lot of the questions I personally get from people, and so try to clarify it.
I understand.
So Governor DeSantis just signed 2 bills.
Yes.
And are kind of related to this.
Yes.
About the millage rate. First, what is the millage rate? So
there's 2 sides to property taxes. One side is what we attacked with this this proposal, and that is the actual assessment amount. So how much that homestead property taxes or homestead property is worth. The other side is millage. Millage is what you multiply that property value by. And millage is what is controlled by local government. And that means your county, your city, as well as your school board. Each of those entities could charge up to what's called 10 mills. You multiply your mills by your property value, and that gives you your overall property tax. Well, what we've seen in the past is that local government they've said, oh, well, we're decreasing our property taxes. They might drop it by a 0.1 mil or something like that. The reality is, though, that your property values have gone up. So what's happened? Because it's 2 sides of the equation, the overall property taxes have continued to skyrocket.
Yes.
This year, we passed a bill that talks about budgets overall. And it says that if you keep the same budget, what's called a rollback, you're rolling the budget back to the previous year and keeping it the same. If you do a true rollback, that can be approved by your municipality with a simple majority vote. If you go up over that simple, that 100%, and you go up to 110%, then it requires a supermajority to go ahead and approve that. But if you go over the 110%, at that point in time, it takes a unanimous vote, or the locals can vote on it in an election as well.
So because of that, one of the biggest concerns we hear, and I see the campaigns of people against that, is the counties, the city councils, the county councils, because they say this will affect their budget in the wrong way. Now, saying that, I also was doing some research, even previous to this interview, but before that, in the state of Florida, 46% of the properties paid homestead.
Okay.
So more than 60% doesn't pay homestead.
Right.
And usually that becomes from 6 to 15% of the budgets in the city or city councils or county councils. So it's only that percent of the budget they receive this money from property.
Overall property tax, and this is a broad number. There's certainly differences for municipalities.
Oh, yes.
But a broad number is about 30% of all local budgets is property tax. Of that 30% overall, only, again, 30% is homestead. So you're getting almost 70% of non-homestead into your property tax. And so we did calculations, and basically we're looking at an 8 to 12% overall haircut for the state of Florida when you're looking at property tax. And considering that we have swollen just in the last 3 years $18 billion in property taxes, I would suggest that we probably can handle a haircut associated with a lower property tax,
like 6% of the budget.
So it would be more of a 10 to 12%, but these budgets have swollen by 30 and 40%. They've outpaced inflation, they've outpaced population, and they are ever increasing. So I would suggest that there are certainly ways that we can reduce our budgets.
Because this bill will be only for homestead properties. So we have
that is correct.
Vacant lots, we have investment properties, we have commercial, all that, they not benefit from this. They just keep paying their taxes as it is.
Yes, they do. And So one of the concerns out there, frankly, is that, then all of these folks that are not homesteaded, or your investment property or the businesses, they in fact may be paying more. Well, what I would say to that is that we as Floridians, we need to be a part of our local government budget hearings. Right now, I remember last year in St. Lucie, there was maybe 4 people that were sitting in these budget hearings. In Martin County, locally here, again, same type of thing. It was a very sparsely viewed overall budget hearings. And these are things that affect every single citizen. So I would ask that your viewers would please become involved and become aware of these various issues that are there coming to these budget hearings.
That was my next question. So you answered it ahead. Because I see it, when the community get involved, they get more answers. They know what's going on. And this is one of the biggest issues. They complain after the fact, but nobody's there when these things are happening.
No, certainly.
So that will help a lot of them to be sure they know where the money is spending.
I sure hope so. Yes.
My next question, as a realtor.
Yes.
And that's what you think if this pass will affect the affordability in houses. How do you think this will affect the people who already own a house, who already have homestead, or the affordability for the future?
So I think those people that currently have a homestead, obviously it's going to help their affordability. For those that are just moving into a home for the first time or purchasing a home for the first time, I don't see how this proposal really helps overall that new person with the overall affordability. What is helping, though, is this adds some stability to the overall market. Somebody out there who may not have wanted to move because they felt their tax burden was going to be higher. Now they have that ability with the $250,000 exemption that maybe it is actually going to be lower if they move and they use their portability and all these other things. So there's some possibilities there that it would reward essentially the current Florida homeowners.
Now, as if you could talk to every single Floridian, because I mean, it's a lot of people.
It is 23 million. Yep.
And the voters
Yes.
to understand the 3 key factors in this bill. What do you will say?
I would say that if you are currently a Florida homeowner, you have a homestead exemption. There are 26 separate exemptions out there currently. However, this bill would give you the largest single tax cut that's ever been proposed with property taxes. And while it may be the largest for Florida, it very well could also be the largest in the entire country as far as a property tax cut. And that's what we're facing here in the state of Florida in putting that money back into our pockets. So if you enjoy having anywhere between $1,600 and $3,000 extra in your pocket, that's something that I think we really need to think about. And, this proposal is really for that person out there that is in a working situation. Maybe that extra $1,500, that extra $3,000, that's going to be huge for a lot of families out there.
Yes.
When you think about what that could purchase, that might even be 2 mortgage payments. I don't know. So those are some things that we need to think about. And the reality of this proposal is that it's not helping that beachfront property, that multi-million-dollar home, that really wealthy person. This is helping everyday working Floridians.
So to the people who owns vacation commercial, there's no benefit from that.
However,
what you will tell them?
What they are going to benefit from is currently their assessment is climbing every single year. And if you recall, there's the assessed value, there's the market value. And right now, the assessed value is trying to catch up to market value. And it's doing that every year by climbing 10% in value. As we've seen here in the state of Florida, market values have really taken off. And that also happens with commercial, industrial, with apartment buildings, et cetera. They've taken off. Now, instead of it going up by 10% every year, we're cutting that in half. and it would only increase by 5% every year. And that's a significant savings when we're looking at an overall increase, and especially when you're looking at it over time. So that gives us a very good cut for the non-homestead properties as well.
And when the people hear from a lot of them, oh, the government, state of Florida, city councils, all that won't help us to replace this money, so you as a public will get affected with the police, with this. I mean, they put it like they literally will close everything. What do you will say to them?
What I would say is these are the same exact arguments that they came out with previously when we brought forward the initial homestead exemption. At that $25,000 homestead exemption that we currently have now, then actually $50,000, excuse me, which we currently have now. I mean, you would have thought that we were going to destroy local government at that time, that there would be buildings burning and crime everywhere and all that type of stuff. And guess what? We made it through it just fine.
Nothing happened.
And we were able to work our way through the process. And at that time, a $50,000 exemption was similar in value to what we're doing right now of this $250,000. If you recall, at that time, an average home out there in the state of Florida was under $100,000.
$87,000. That's what I was there.
And now we're looking at overall that homes are about $420,000 statewide is our current average.
Yes.
So we're looking at a nice reduction in that value, but that average homeowner is going to see some good results. And yes, local government will certainly survive.
I mean, I was with the chief economist of the Florida Realtors, and they expect in 10 years, the value of the properties, the average value will be $1 million.
That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. So you put it this way, what do you think, how this will affect that, like 10 years from now, the future owners?
Well, remember that one other provision that's associated with this is that the homestead exemption, the $250,000 exemption, it rises with inflation as well. So the longer you stay in your home, the more that will raise up as well. That $250,000 will grow. There is also a provision in the bill that says that the legislature would have the ability to potentially increase the various homestead exemptions as well. We would not have to go back to a constitutional amendment, but the legislature could in fact increase that.
I didn't know that part. That's a good
part
one.
of it as well. And so that's and that is something that's in there. And then finally, as we look at the overall increase in home prices, that is something that, you know, maybe sometime in the future we'll be looking at that. Now, one other item that I'd like to bring up, and I'm not sure if you're aware of it or not, but let's say that this doesn't pass this year. There have, I know that one of the leading candidates for governor, Byron Donalds, has already talked about a commitment to make sure that we address property tax.
Yes.
And that would be done also what's called in the Budget and Taxation Committee that's coming up. This is a constitutionally required committee. It was established in 2007. It's now 20 years later. It happens every 20 years. And this will be made up of roughly, I believe it's 35 individuals that come in from all over the state. And they basically come up with, they review all the taxes that are currently on the books. They review all the fees that are currently on the books, and go ahead and we'd make recommendations in how to deal with the fees and taxes. As part of that, we would also be dealing with property taxes. I have every confidence that he would be doing that and directing some of that for those folks that are going to be on that committee. So if this does not get done this year, if we don't get 60% in the affirmative, I will absolutely guarantee you that we'll have another measure on the ballot in 2028.
Something will come out.
Absolutely.
I knew about the committee. I didn't know that was, I mean, I hear him talk about taxes and all that, but I didn't know they can come with something different if this doesn't go.
And we had several proposals that came out of our overall property tax committee.
Yes.
We actually brought one forward that was a complete elimination of property taxes with the exception of school taxes. And the Senate chose not to take that up. So we did our job. We had it going. The Senate chose not to take it up. And then when we got back for another special session, which the governor called,
Yes.
the governor presented his amendment, which is what we ended up passing and is now on the ballot.
I think it's more friendly, the one we have now, than the other ones, because I've been seeing this for 2-3 years already, something like that. And we've been talking about it every time we met with you about that. And I think this one is not that invasive, more friendly.
Yeah, and I'd like to see, some additional work in that next phase on portability.
Yes.
I'd like to see some work on being able to shift the burden from, say, somebody who is passing away and wants to gift their home to their children.
Yes.
Why not keep it in that generation without a penalty of an automatic increase in property taxes?
Yes.
So those are some things that I would certainly like to be able to see. And whether it be a farm or a home, those types of things, I think that's something that we should really take a look at.
That's a really good point. That's true. And we've been in Washington also talking about the capital gain when they sell the property, because right now get a capital gain of, say, I'm single. So if my capital gain is more than $250, what is very easy happening with the prices, I have to pay a lot in taxes.
It's
I cannot use it to buy my next home.
That's right. And I look at that specific thing. We get a lot of questions on capital gains. I said, well, folks, you really need to talk to your congressman about that. That's something that I can't touch in the state.
that's another level.
Above my pay grade. Yes.
So now, what is the biggest one misconception? Like, if you don't have 1 minute to say this is the biggest misconception about this bill, what is it?
That it will shut down local government. That's the biggest misconception out there. It certainly will not.
Now, it's a quick questions, just lighted.
Okay.
One word to describe Florida housing market today.
Competitive.
One myth about this bill and about work in Tallahassee you would like to eliminate.
Ask that again.
One myth. What thing everybody think is happening in Tallahassee and is a myth, is not true, what you would like to clarify?
We don't work. Do a lot of work up there, and we listen to our constituents. I know our office does all the time.
And one myth about this bill.
That it will shut down local government.
The most inspiring part of being a House representative in Tallahassee.
Seeing the impact on individuals.
The most overlooked challenge for this job.
Keeping your family together.
One thing everyone should understand about the job you do in Tallahassee, and most people don't even think about it.
The depth and breadth of knowledge that we should have as a good representative.
If you could ask community leaders one thing in general, especially about this bill, what to do, what you would ask them. I'm not talking only politicians, just in general community leaders.
Have you ever examined your local municipality's budget from top to bottom?
If you could ask everyone who will vote in November, to do one thing before November, what you will ask them?
Get educated on the issues.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And here is, I hope we answered general questions,
Certainly.
The most informative and quick way, so everybody get more information.
And let me know if your listeners and watchers have questions.
I will.
All
Definitely
right.
I will. And if we can come with more questions
Always.
from that, I will bother you again.
Sounds
That's for
great.
sure. Thank
Happy
you
to
so
do
much.
Thank you. All right.